The rain came down in sheets that Friday evening, turning the quiet streets of Birchwood into rivers of reflection. Streetlights shimmered across puddles. Cars hissed past. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled like a warning. Liam Carter tightened his grip on his umbrella as he led his 7-year-old son, Noah, through the storm. The boy wore a hand-me-down yellow raincoat, hood pulled low, rubber boots splashing beside his dad with every step. They'd run out of groceries that morning, and Liam's paycheck had only just cleared. The grocery store's card reader was down, so he'd told Noah they'd swing by the ATM after his shift. A normal night. A small errand. Nothing unusual, until he saw her. She stood under the broken awning of the bank's entrance, completely drenched. Her hair, soaked and dark, clung to her neck. Her heels were muddy. Her long coat hung heavy with water, and her trembling hands smacked the unresponsive ATM like it had just ruined her life. Liam hesitated. He didn't know her. Not yet. But something about the way she was shaking, alone, silent, almost haunted, made him step closer. "You all right?" he asked, offering half his umbrella. The woman, startled, turned, and for a moment, time buckled. Her face. He knew that face. Years had passed, but the eyes were the same. Gray like overcast skies, fierce and tired all at once. The cheekbones, the shape of her mouth, the way her jaw tensed when she held back tears. It couldn't be. "Isabella?" She froze. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Her eyes flicked toward Noah, standing a few feet behind his father, curious and shivering. And suddenly, her legs buckled. Liam caught her before she hit the ground. They sat in his truck a few minutes later, the storm tapping gently on the windshield now. Isabella stared straight ahead, hands clenched in her lap, dripping water onto the seat. Liam had questions, 1,000 of them. Why she left, why she never came back, why she never wrote, called, asked, why she had walked out on a newborn baby and the man who stayed. But none of that came out. Not yet. All he said was, "You disappeared." And I raised him alone. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. Just turned her head slowly toward the boy in the back seat, the one she hadn't seen since he was a week old. Noah stared at her with wide eyes, then smiled the way only children can. "Hi." Isabella's mouth trembled, and finally she whispered, "Hi." Back at the house, Liam turned the key and nudged the door open with his shoulder. The old hinges creaked like always, and the scent of damp wood and lemon cleaner filled the entryway. Noah kicked off his boots, already rambling about hot chocolate and cartoons. Liam's mind, however, was elsewhere, fixated on the woman who now stood silently on his welcome mat, dripping on the hardwood floors. Isabella Remington, the woman who vanished 7 years ago, the woman he'd loved. Once. He handed her a towel without a word. She took it. "Thanks." Her voice hadn't changed. Softer, maybe, worn at the edges. He watched her dry her hands, her face, her soaked hair. That hair used to fall across his chest while she slept. He remembered the way she laughed, carefree, wild, never afraid of dreaming too big. And then, just days after Noah was born, she was gone. No note, no goodbye, just a hospital discharge form and a void. He'd imagined this moment so many times. Finding her, confronting her, screaming, demanding an answer. But now that she stood here, in his home, looking like a ghost trying to find her skin again, all he could do was breathe. "Do you want tea?" he asked finally. She looked up, startled by the normalcy of it. "Sure." He put water on the stove, heart pounding louder than the kettle. Across the room, Noah sat cross-legged on the floor, playing with his puzzle box, oblivious to the weight in the air. Isabella's eyes kept drifting toward him, lingering, studying. "Does he know?" she asked softly. Liam turned. "That you're his mother. Number I told him you died." Isabella flinched and the moment cracked open. "I had to say something," Liam added, tone firm. He needed a story that made sense. "I wanted to come back," she said quickly. "You have to know that. I didn't just abandon you. It wasn't that simple." "Then make it simple," Liam said. "Tell me why you left." Silence, just the kettle beginning to whine. She looked at him, eyes full of old wounds. "My father found out." That stopped him. Isabella's family. He'd nearly forgotten. The Remingtons, the billion-dollar dynasty, cold, controlling, ruthless. Her father had threatened her when they were still teenagers. "We don't mix with people like him," he had said. "I thought we were free of them," Liam whispered. "You said you didn't care what they thought." "I didn't," she replied. "But then I had Noah, and my father came to the hospital the next day. I don't know how he found out so fast. He gave me a choice. Leave with him, or he'd ruin you. Legally, financially, you and the baby." Liam swallowed. Isabella's hands shook. "I didn't know what to do. I was 23. No money, no power, just fear. And you were already so exhausted. I thought if I disappeared, he'd leave you alone. So you let me believe you were dead. I thought it would keep you both safe." Liam didn't speak. He stared at her like he was trying to remember the woman behind the explanation, the one he fell in love with. She stepped forward. "I never stopped thinking about him. Or you." "I don't know what you want from me now," Liam said quietly. She looked past him to Noah. "Just time," she whispered. "To know him, if you'll let me." For the next few days, Isabella stayed in town. Not at Liam's house, but nearby, in the only inn Birchwood had, where the beds squeaked and the coffee tasted like dust. It was a far cry from the penthouses and five-star suites she used to float through like air. She never complained. Every morning she arrived at the park just after 8, sitting quietly on the far bench near the sandbox. Waiting, watching, hoping. Noah didn't know she was his mother. Liam hadn't told him. Not yet. He wasn't sure how. But when he asked, "Can the umbrella lady come with us to the park again?" Liam knew the door had opened, and so she came. Quietly, patiently, with snacks in her bag and stories in her eyes. The first time Noah invited her to build a sandcastle, Isabella's hands shook as she knelt beside him. He handed her a green shovel without question. She dug, he smiled, and for the first time in years, something inside her unclenched. Liam watched from a few feet away. He hadn't forgiven her, not fully, but something had shifted, because Isabella didn't act entitled. She didn't force closeness. She didn't cry or demand or try to rewrite the past. She simply showed up, every day. One afternoon, after Noah had run off to chase a kite with a classmate, Liam sat down beside her on the park bench. "You could have just vanished again," he said. "I thought about it," Isabella admitted. "But then I saw his eyes. They're yours, and I knew I couldn't disappear again. Not now." Liam looked down at his hands, fingers scarred from years of carpentry, of working jobs that broke his back and kept food on the table. "I don't know what this is supposed to look like," he said. "You being here, him finding out. It's a lot." "I'm not trying to replace you," she said quickly. "You're his father in every way that counts. I just want to be present, whatever that means." He glanced at her. "I told him once that his mom was brave," Liam said, "that she gave him life and protected him from far away, that she loved him, even if she couldn't stay." Tears welled in her eyes. "You said that," she whispered. "I was angry," he said, "but I never wanted him to grow up hating someone he never knew." Isabella wiped her cheek, nodding. "I want to tell him," Liam continued. "Together. Not tonight, but soon." Isabella looked toward the playground where Noah was laughing, chasing wind and light and the sound of his own joy. "Okay," she said. "Whenever you're ready." That night, Isabella sat on her motel bed, scrolling through old photos on her phone. Pictures of business meetings, private islands, fashion galas, but none of them felt real. Then she opened the one she'd taken that afternoon. A blurry shot of Noah holding up a lopsided sandcastle, grinning wide, one boot missing. She stared at it until her screen dimmed. For the first time in years, she felt like someone who belonged. Not to a boardroom, not to a trust fund, but to a boy. A moment. A second chance. It was Sunday morning when Liam decided it was time. He'd made cinnamon pancakes, the kind Noah always asked for on slow days. The boy was humming at the table, syrup dripping down his fork, completely unaware that his life was about to change. Isabella sat quietly at the edge of the living room, her back straight, hands clasped tight in her lap. She hadn't touched her coffee. The air in the house felt heavier than usual, like it was holding its breath too. Liam knelt beside his son and looked him in the eyes. "Noah," he said gently, "there's something important I need to tell you. Something about where you come from." Noah's brow furrowed, fork halfway to his mouth. "Am I in trouble?" Liam smiled, shaking his head. "Not at all, bud. But you deserve to know something we've never talked about." He motioned to Isabella, who moved closer, heart hammering in her chest. Liam continued, voice steady. "Remember when I told you your mom loved you from far away? That she had to go?" Noah nodded slowly. Liam took a breath. "She's not gone, Noah. She's right here." Noah blinked, looked at Isabella, then back at his dad. "I don't understand," he whispered. Isabella knelt beside him, her voice trembling. "Noah, I'm your mom." The room fell quiet. Noah stared at her eyes, her mouth, her shaking hands, then back at Liam. "Is she really?" he asked. Liam nodded. The silence was so full, it buzzed. Noah looked at Isabella again. "Why'd you leave?" Her breath caught. Liam was about to speak, to soften it, explain it away, but Isabella held up a hand. She looked at Noah, really looked at him, like someone finally facing their own reflection. "I was scared," she said softly. "Scared of people who wanted to hurt your dad. Scared of not being strong enough. I thought leaving would keep you safe, but I was wrong." Noah didn't speak. He simply got up from his chair and walked to the front door. Stood there, arms crossed, back turned. Isabella's heart broke all over again. But Liam said nothing. He gave the boy space. Minutes passed. Then Noah turned. "You missed a lot," he said. "Like my soccer goal. And when I lost my tooth." "I know," Isabella whispered, rising. "And if you let me, I want to be here now. For all the next things. Even the boring stuff." Noah didn't answer right away. But then he walked over, reached into his backpack and pulled out a small worn drawing. A stick figure family. A dad. A boy. An empty space. He handed it to her. "You can be in this now," he said. She took it with shaking hands. "I'd like that very much." Later, they sat beneath the willow tree in the backyard. Liam leaned back in the grass, watching Isabella and Noah color together on the picnic blanket. His son was laughing again. She was relaxed, barefoot, smiling, grounded in something real. For the first time since she came back, the world didn't feel like it was about to tip over. Liam wasn't ready to say he trusted her, not fully, but trust, like roots, started small, buried deep, and grew if given the chance. And maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something that could finally grow. They were sitting at the farmer's market when the past came knocking. Noah had convinced Isabella to try his favorite apple cider donuts, sticky and warm from the stand on the corner. Liam was watching them from across the table, arms crossed, but eyes soft. It had been 2 weeks since the truth was revealed, 2 weeks of cautious reconnection. Isabella walked Noah to school each morning now. They read bedtime stories together. And though Liam said little about it, his silence had grown less sharp, less guarded. But peace, as always, doesn't last long. Isabella's phone buzzed. She hesitated before pulling it from her coat pocket. One glance at the screen and the color drained from her face. Unknown number, but the message was clear. He knows. She stood so fast she knocked over her coffee. Liam caught her wrist. What's wrong? Her eyes were wide, unfocused, like she was suddenly back in the past again. I have to go, she whispered and slipped away before he could stop her. It took Liam less than an hour to find her. She hadn't gone far, just to the edge of town, parked by the old water tower where cell service barely reached. She sat on the hood of her rental car, face pale, hands trembling. When Liam pulled up beside her, she didn't look surprised, just tired. Talk to me, he said. Isabella swallowed. My father found out I'm here, that I saw Noah. Liam's jaw clenched. I thought I was safe, she continued. I cut ties, changed everything, but I underestimated him. He never really lets go. What does he want? I don't know, she said, voice breaking. Control. Punishment. Maybe both. But if he sees a threat to the family image, he'll destroy it, even if that means dragging Noah into a courtroom. The wind picked up, dry leaves skittering across the asphalt. You really believe he'd try to take Noah? Liam asked, voice low. She nodded. If he thinks it'll ruin me. A long silence passed between them. Then Liam said, Then we don't give him that chance. Isabella blinked. What do you mean? You stay, he said. Not in a hotel. With us, where I can keep my eyes open, where we can be a family, even if it's just for a little while. She looked stunned. You'd let me? She whispered. Liam nodded once. For Noah's sake. But even as he said it, a strange knot formed in his stomach. Not because he didn't mean it, but because he did. And that meant something bigger than either of them was growing in the space between what they lost and what might still be possible. That night, she moved into the guest room. Noah was thrilled. He gave her a tour, showed her the loose floorboard in the hallway, and insisted she pick a bedtime book from his collection. But when the lights went out, Liam stood in the kitchen alone, staring out the window at the moonlit trees. He didn't trust her father, and part of him still didn't fully trust her. But when Isabella came downstairs a few minutes later and stood beside him in the dark, their shoulders barely touching, he didn't move away. Some things, he realized, weren't meant to be fixed overnight, but maybe, just maybe, they weren't meant to stay broken either. The following week blurred by like a dream, half-held. Isabella stayed, not as a guest, not as an outsider, but as someone who slowly, gently began to belong again. She packed Noah's lunches, took him to school, baked him his first birthday cake in years, chocolate with too many sprinkles and a crooked 8 candle. He beamed. Liam watched it all unfold with a quiet tension in his chest. He didn't say much, but he saw everything. The way Noah leaned into her hugs, the way Isabella's eyes lingered on his drawings like they were museum pieces. She wasn't pretending. But even as joy crept back into the house, so did the shadow of her father. The call came just before sunset. Isabella answered in the hallway, voice low. But Liam heard the fear, sharp, immediate. Afterward, she walked outside and stood on the porch. He joined her. What did he say? Liam asked. She didn't look at him. He wants custody. Liam's blood went cold. He's filing emergency orders in New York, she added. He says I've endangered the Remington legacy by exposing our son to a commoner's environment. His words. He has no claim, Liam said. You're the mother. I'm the father. He's no one. He's a billionaire, she whispered, and in his world that means everything. The sky behind them was painted in deep strokes of orange and indigo. Somewhere inside, Noah was singing along to a cartoon. I can fight him, Isabella continued, but it'll be ugly, and it'll put you and Noah through hell. So, what's your plan? Liam asked. She turned to face him. To end it. He narrowed his eyes. What does that mean? Isabella stepped closer. I've drafted legal papers. I'll sign over full custody to you, permanently. If I remove myself, there's no battle, no case. Liam stared at her. You'd walk away after all this? I'd rather Noah grow up safe and loved than become a pawn in a billionaire's war. I won't risk him. Her voice cracked at the end. Liam looked at her, really looked, at the pain, the strength, the silent breaking underneath, and something inside him snapped. No, he said. She blinked. You're not leaving again, he said firmly. Not because of that man. Not because of fear. Not when you finally found the courage to come back. Tears pooled in her eyes. Liam stepped forward. I'll stand beside you. We fight. Together. Not just because he's my son, but because maybe you're still family too. She covered her mouth, sobbing quietly. You'd do that? He nodded. I already did once. I'll do it again. 3 weeks later, Isabella stood in court. Not as a Remington, not as an heir, but as a mother. And Liam, wearing his only blazer, stood beside her. The judge ruled in their favor. Her father, furious and powerless in the back row, left without a word. Later, back at home, Noah pulled out a photo from his school backpack. A crayon drawing of 3 stick figures beneath a big tree, all holding hands. Liam smiled. Isabella cried, and Noah, full of joy, held it up for the fridge like it was worth $1 million. Family, he said, that's us. And for the first time in 8 years, it finally was.